You want to eat here? Joso. الأكشن أهي. إيه سوكي هاتي نسويها. سوكي. نتضايق. نتضايق.
E poi il problema che ci riparano tipo
c'è un piacere. Io pronto. لا تلفني بالله تشيل. She was really doing well near the puppy, guys. He is sitting right in front of him. Look, right here. Right. I'm going to show you a different view from it's like this. Let's see. And the puppy is there, out of there. Good boy, Shiro. I think the option will be able to in tango.
الخزين مش تدخل عندها سوبر مش الوجه قطع
يسوق من ورا نفسنا انت تدينا فوق السوق جيدا رجعنا فوق الكونتيشن وبشرتها già che sta sempre anche al corpo del terraccio non faccia del pezzo Madonna e dovrebbe stia flock quello che castica bafico
ما سيب ساكتي
ما تفهميش رجعت رايتيها انت علينا 150
أدرين بيها ولا
ده finished not finished good madam
أو واحد ما تبغيه مش الأخرين كان تبغيه
إيه عملت كلمات ما دي في ناس
في حتى ما ذكر مع مرتين ثلاثة عملا قدام
هي هذا الساعة الفيديو تعرف هاي تسوق كيف قالت Nej, det är värsta مش نفس الظهر تعرف هنا دي بلاش كوجه إن شاء الله شطة في الفرق سبعة هي كنت وكنت And the watch. The watch is going to eat everything. Goodbye, Shira. You ate the pill as well? No, the pill is still there. Amongst some few others. You have to eat it. Raya. The puppy is always on the floor.
He doesn't have to stay in the bed. Oh,
Eat more, Raya.
yeah. Cool.
Brava.
Oh, cool.
Ooh. Ooh. Ooh.
Lovely. Good, Samira. Yeah. Brava. Good to hear. Cool.
Your food as well. She is eating. Everyone, Suki, Shiro, Andrea went out for toilet break with human too. Just for you to know, this is why Raya's not here. They're coming back soon. I'm going for a quick shower. Talk soon.
Boy, boy.
Okay.
Where is the baby? Stay here, sweetie. The sleepy potato. How cute. Which?
Right now, the most popular of these sorts of devices are Samsung Z Fold series. But could the OnePlus Open be an even better alternative? I'm Will for GSM Arena, and let's find out more fully. The OnePlus Open needs to bring a lot to stand up to the likes of the Galaxy Fold 5, Samsung's most advanced smartphone, but it seems to be up to the challenge. Although it's OnePlus's first foldable, the OnePlus Open's design is surprisingly refined. It actually borrows a lot from Oppo's Find N series. In fact, the new Oppo Find N3 is the same device, but for the Chinese and Asian markets. The OnePlus Open features two superb OLED screens, a flagship chipset, and three cameras on the back bearing the Hasselblad logo. OnePlus actually markets the Open as a premium camera phone, and its triple camera setup looks quite promising and versatile. But first, let's get into the design. This has got to be among the most well-designed foldable smartphones we've encountered yet. The OnePlus Open will be available in green in some markets, with a glass back instead of being leather. With the round camera housing and grippy vegan leather back, the phone just feels classy. The flat frame is thin and made from an aerospace-grade alloy that's stronger yet lighter than steel. As a result, the OnePlus Open is both thinner and lighter than the Z Fold 5. The hinge itself is also thinner than many competitors. It uses a streamlined design with fewer parts, making it lighter and perhaps less prone to failure. And the crease where the phone folds over is quite subtle. We actually couldn't even feel it. It is visible, but still, this is some impressive engineering. The OnePlus Open is rated at IPX4 for protection against splashes of water. You can't submerge the phone like you can the Z Fold 5, but splash resistance is still nice to have. Let's get into the display, starting with the outer one. The cover screen is a 6.31-inch LTPO3 OLED with a pixel density of 431 ppi and a The OnePlus Open has 3 Dolby Atmos speakers, one at the bottom, 2 at the top. Absolute loudness is just average here, but the sound quality is very good, with some bass, great vocals, and nice highs. You can hear for yourself with the provided link. To wake up and unlock the phone, there's a capacitive fingerprint reader built with the power button on the side. You also get an alert slider like on other high-end OnePlus phones, so you can easily silence your device. There's just one option for storage, 512 gigs, and that's not expandable via microSD card. The interface of the OnePlus Open is Oxygen OS 13.2, with some extra foldable-centric features added in. Besides those, the experience is basically the same as you get on any recent OnePlus, Oppo, or Realme phone. You can check out our dedicated Realme UI video if you like a more in-depth software overview. Let's talk about those foldable features though. For one, the home screen stays identical, regardless of whether you're on the cover screen or the inner one. And whatever app is open on one screen will remain open when you switch to the other one. Of course, there are dock icons like you see on the tablet, and the taskbar shows a minimized view of these icons when you're away from the home screen. Samsung is well known for the multitasking options on their foldables, but OnePlus brings plenty of those as well. You can start off with your standard split screen with 2 apps, of course. But then you can add a third split screen app next to those 2 and scroll between them. You can also have the third app take a full screen-like view, on top or at the bottom of the split screen configuration. This is what OnePlus calls Open Canvas. Or you can mix split screen with a floating app, but you can't have more than 3 active on-screen apps at a time. The OnePlus Open also allows apps to take advantage of its half-open state. So far, we found it to work only on YouTube and within the camera. Finally, I'll mention the software support. OnePlus is promising 4 years of major OS updates and 5 years of security patches for the OnePlus Open. The chipset of the OnePlus Open is the current flagship silicon from Qualcomm, a Snapdragon 8 Gen 2. As you'd expect, it provides top-grade performance for both demanding applications and gaming. It's worth noting that in comparison, the Z Fold 5's chipset is a special Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 made for Galaxy phones, with slightly faster clock speeds and higher benchmark scores. Also, we discovered that by default, the OnePlus Open will put limits on its CPU performance to save battery. You have to enable the high-performance battery mode to have the phone run at its full potential. When it comes to the thermal management, the OnePlus Open does a decent job. We put it through our prolonged stress test when unfolded, and saw some gradual thermal throttling, but nothing dramatic. While closed, the thermals are a little bit worse, but still not too bad. And it's worth noting that throughout this testing, the phone never got hot or even that warm. The OnePlus Open's battery capacity is about 4,800 mAh, and the battery life is good. The phone earned an endurance rating of 96 hours when tested unfolded on the large screen. When tested on the cover screen, the scores were even better, adding up to an endurance rating of 105 hours. The OnePlus Open supports 67-watt charging, and the charger that comes in the box may be an 80-watt or a 67-watt one, depending on the market. With the 80-watt adapter, we were able to charge the phone from 0 to 80% in half an hour. A full charge took 42 minutes. Now we have the OnePlus Open's cameras. There's a 48-megapixel main cam, a 64-megapixel telephoto cam with 3 times optical zoom, and a 48-megapixel ultra-wide cam. The main cam uses the Sony LYT808 sensor, similar to the one used in this year's Xperia flagships. It's part of Sony's new lineup of stacked sensors called Lighting. The OnePlus Open's main camera saves 12-megapixel photos by default, so they have an impressive level of detail, with balanced, natural-looking processing, all the way down to the fine details. There's plenty of contrast, and the colors are vivid and lively. The dynamic range is wide enough too. The portrait mode on the OnePlus Open offers 3 zoom levels, 1 times, 2 times, and 3 times. Each mode produces an effect that mimics a specific Hasselblad lens. No matter which mode you choose, the portraits are always outstanding. The subject is detailed, sharp, and well exposed, and the bokeh is lovely and realistic. In low light, the OnePlus Open can apply its automatic night mode processing. You can also toggle the night mode on manually. These sorts of photos we shot with the main camera are excellent, with a ton of detail, no noise, wide dynamic range, and lively colors. 4K video from the main cam has plenty of natural-looking detail. There's no over-sharpening here. The colors look good, and there's no noise. The dynamic range is wide, and the contrast is alright. The always-on electronic stabilization does an excellent job at smoothing out the footage. Low-light video from the main camera is generally good, with a bright exposure, wide dynamic range, and enough detail. There are a lot of noticeable artifacts there. The telephoto cam produces stunning 3x zoom photos. They have top-notch detail with natural rendition, balanced sharpening, and no noise. The colors are punchy, but not over the top. The contrast is great, and the dynamic range is adequate. The telephoto cam also offers a 6x lossless zoom via a crop from the center of the 64-megapixel sensor. These photos have plenty of detail and nice colors. They are a bit softer than the 3x ones, naturally, and we can spot a minor spike in the noise levels, but these still turned out nice. At night, the OnePlus Open will rarely use the telephoto camera, instead using a crop from the main camera. The times it does decide to use the telephoto cam, the results are great, with a high level of detail, low noise, and wide dynamic range. Too bad it doesn't use it more often. The 3x zoom videos from the telephoto camera are as great as the ones from the primary camera. They're detailed, with balanced processing, excellent color rendition, and wide dynamic range. The ultra-wide camera's photos are good, with low noise, likable colors, and enough detail, with a balanced rendition. The corners remain sharp enough, and the dynamic range is average. Sometimes the photos appear overexposed, but this could be improved through a software update. Since the ultra-wide has autofocus, it can take photos of close-up subjects. These macro shots we took are quite nice. They're colorful, with a lot of detail and sharpness. In low-light conditions, the auto night mode always kicked into the ultra-wide, and the results are great. They are well exposed and detailed, with low noise, decent color saturation, and wide dynamic range. The ultra-wide camera captures great 4K videos with adequate detail, no visible noise, accurate colors, high contrast, and range. OnePlus Open has 2 selfie cameras, a 32-megapixel one within the cover screen, and a 20-megapixel camera within the inner screen. The 32-megapixel selfies from the cover screen camera are high in detail. The dynamic range is good, and colors are true to life. However, upon close inspection, photos have somewhat poor processing. Selfies from the inner screen are a bit less detailed. They do offer wide dynamic range and punchy colors, and are noise-free. But as with other foldable phones, you can take selfies with the rear cameras as well, using the cover screen as a viewfinder. The main camera shoots excellent selfies with lovely natural bokeh. The amount of detail here and the rendition knocks traditional selfie cameras out of the water. So that's the OnePlus Open. Foldable phones are still a hard sell for many people. They're improving more and more each year, and OnePlus may have come out with the best one yet. The OnePlus Open has a very refined build. You can't even feel the crease. The displays are top-notch. You get extended software support. The chipset is flagship grade, and the cameras are excellent. On the other hand, the Galaxy Z Fold 5 can provide you with stylus support, wireless charging, and a higher rating for water resistance. But if you don't need those features, and you don't mind paying that top dollar to get affordable, the OnePlus Open is as premium as they come, and it's worth recommending. Thanks for watching, guys. If you're looking for another option besides the OnePlus Open on our channel, you can check out our review of the Samsung Galaxy Z Fold 5. Let us know what you think down below, and I'll see you on the next one.
Calm down. Leia. Leia. I think he is listening. No, he's waking up to the noises.
This is the OnePlus Open. It's the first ever OnePlus foldable, and it's honestly the first OnePlus product in the last 5 years that really impressed me. See, foldable phones, up until this point, for most people, including myself, haven't really made sense. You pay more money, almost double the price of a flagship, to get a phone that has a bigger screen, yes, but that is compromised in almost every other way. In terms of comfort, they're very thick and folded. In terms of cameras, they struggle to fit good ones in. You get hinge problems, you get price problems, you get dust stuck in your screen problems. There's like 50 more examples of this. But this one just open. It's different. You can tell it's not just trying to be yet another company's take at the same thing, but actually the foldable done right. Paying attention to all the pain points you normally get and actually trying to fix them. So let's talk about it. The unboxing is a good start. You get everything you need with it, which shouldn't be a surprise for a $1,699 phone, but that's just where we are right now. The phone's on top, and that is a proper camera creator. You get a 60-second fast charger. It is starting to feel a little dated, but it's a traditional USB-A plug and not USB-C though. And then a second really heavy box. There's a case included for both the back and the front. It's nothing crazy fancy, but it is all the protection that 90% of people are going to need. And then inside, a cable, plastic OnePlus Red, and then welcome membership card. Quick guide to safety guide. Why is the safety guide like 60 pages? What is this, like 1995? And then a SIM eject tool. Time for the big peel. Now, this hasn't been one of those experiences where I've had to dig to find the differences. While it still looks and feels familiar if you've seen a foldable before, the improvements to the foldable formula are really obvious. The first thing I noticed is how slim and light it is, mostly thanks to new materials in the body like titanium instead of steel. Is it the most comfortable phone I've ever held? Hell no. But is it close enough to feeling like a normal phone that you could just maybe forget? Yeah, I think so. To give you some idea of this, foldable with an 8-inch screen on the inside is actually the same weight as an iPhone 14 Pro Max, which I carry around for a year with no problems. But that is not the only interesting thing going on here. The hinge. The hinge on foldable phones is both one of the biggest opportunities and potential vulnerabilities. And I'm just going to say it right now, this is the best hinge I've ever seen. It's very smooth, there's zero friction, but at the same time, at any point in the opening process, if you want to stop, you stop. And according to OnePlus, it's also a lot more durable than any other hinge before. Thanks to being made from, no joke, exactly 69 parts, as opposed to most hinges which have over 100, and so they're saying are almost over-engineered. There's more. The hinge makes for a basically gapless design all the way around when it's closed, which keeps dust and other substances out. But what's also kind of cool is that they managed to do that while not making the hinge protrude outwards, and while also giving the screen enough space to rest when folded, such that it's not being pinched, and so when you unfold it, there is very minimal crease. I've used a lot of foldable phones at this point, and in most cases, the crease is just one of those side characters that you really dislike at the start, and then you just kind of get used to always being around. But here, what you have is a screen with traces of crease. It's minimal enough that if you choose to see it, you see it, but if you choose to ignore it, you absolutely can. And you're left with what genuinely does feel like a mini tablet on the inside. But the best fit, and the thing that really helps to sell this feeling, is this. The way that most foldables open is very gradually with a consistent amount of resistance until you basically decide, okay, this seems fully open, I'll stop pushing now. Which would probably be the way to do it. If you sometimes have a foldable like this, sometimes like this, sometimes like this. But being very honest, 95% of the time you use a foldable, really you're going to be in this position or you're going to be in this position. And that is why I really love the fact that this phone snaps into both of those positions. It's satisfying. It leaves no shadow of a doubt that you are in a fully open or fully closed position. And subconsciously, it also helps that feeling of distinction. Like, okay, I'm in phone mode. Now, I mean, tablet notes. That's how I would make it foldable. There's also an alert slider, which used to be a classic OnePlus feature. They ditched it for a while, and now it's finally back. So that's exciting. I mean, it's fine. It does what an alert slider does, but it did need to be about 5 centimeters lower for me to actually realistically reach it. There's IPX4 water resistance, which is spotless. The point I was going to make though is that it's not rated for full immersion like Samsung's foldables are. And then the camera, which for some people I show this to, is massively annoying and intrusive, but for me it's been okay. My fingers just kind of rest around it. And because it's at least centered and symmetrical, I found it's got some but minimal wobble when I'm using it on my desk. So overall, the design is great. But design alone is not going to fix foldables. One of the biggest questions I and many people have is how do you actually use the extra space you have in a way that actually makes this better than a normal phone? And the software on the OnePlus Open, I would say, is the most convincing answer to that question that I've ever seen. So the screen is this big, right? Well, think of it like it's actually this big. Meaning that, while of course you could open an app and have it exist here, and then you could open another app and have it exist here, you can now also open an app and have it exist here. The apps will automatically open to whatever ratio makes the most sense for them, and not necessarily just what will fit your screen. And when you open a new one, it will just occupy a new area within this bigger virtual canvas. And the first time that I saw this, I just sat there nodding my head, like, yes. A sudden moment of course, this is how you get around the fact that you have a square display when most apps are designed for rectangles. This is how you make this bigger screen actually feel tangibly more useful, and this is how you multitask in a way that doesn't feel so formal and restrictive. And it's all assisted by this dock, which is your fixed apps that you set in the middle, your recent apps on the right, and then on the left, an app drawer. And the best is a recent files folder. So a combination of stuff like photos you just taken and zip files you just downloaded. And you don't really need to think about this dock. It's normal sizing on the home screen, and then whenever you open an app, it just shrinks down. Just about still being useful without being an eyesore. And then if you've got a ton happening on it and you just want to get rid of it, you hold down and it goes. Now, if you're not coming from a foldable phone, there is still absolutely a learning curve here. But then when you get going, no foldable has ever made as much sense to me as this one right here. So here's an example use case from a couple of days ago. I was playing a game, and in that game, there's a bit of a wait time between rounds. So I thought, I'm going to use this time to find a new wallpaper. So 2 fingers swiping down the middle will split the app and allow you to click on a different one to open up a So I was playing the game while browsing wallpapers until I found the perfect one that I was going to use. But then I thought, well, actually, I like the style of the wallpaper, but what would be even cooler is if I match the color of that wallpaper to the color of this phone. So one tap on this dock, scroll to the recolor app, drawing that into the fray, and now we've got all 3 apps open at once. And if I want to transfer the wallpaper to that recolor app, I'll literally just drop it in and we're away editing. It all felt very seamless. But how is it possible? Partly the high-end Snapdragon 8 Gen 2 chipsets, partly the fact that you get 512 gigs of fast storage, and largely due to these 16 gigabytes of top-end RAM you get here. This thing is basically the most well-equipped phone hardware that money can buy. Enough to run any single app you could possibly want when focusing on it. Enough to run 3 fairly intensive applications at the same time, and then 1 more as a floating window. And if you're only doing light work, enough to keep literally 40 apps open in the background at any one time. So almost nothing needs to reload when you open it later on. And in my testing, it's also able to do this while keeping cool. Thanks in part to a sheet of ultra-conductive graphene going across the body, which is not just good at getting heat from inside to the outside, but also the heat from one side of the body to the other. It's so that if one part of your phone gets really hot, it's effectively diluting that heat across the entire width of your phone, so it's less hot. Now, 3 pretty major caveats to this. 1, if you're someone who even with this capability is still just going to be using 1 app at a time, which, let's be honest, is probably still most people, then I don't think this is any more the phone for you as any other foldable. You'd be missing out on a lot of what's different about it. 2, but even with all of this power here, while it is very smooth when focusing on one thing, as soon as you start to juggle, the lag can creep in, which I imagine is partly because it's really stretching the capability of what a phone chip is designed to do, but also partly that there's a lot of new stuff there and it needs optimizing on OnePlus. And then 3, speaking of optimizing in its current state, this is pretty buggy. Stuff like this, it happens often. I imagine it's because what OnePlus is allowing you to do is so wide open and freeform that it's very easy to run into situations that haven't been accounted for. I get it, but then spend more time accounting for it. And there's also quite a lot of things on the Android end that need work, like some apps that really should be supporting this whole drag and dropping the files between them. not supporting it. But that should not completely take away from the fact that there is a lot to commend here. Like the fact that OnePlus only has one model of this phone that comes with 16 gigs of RAM and 512 gigs of storage. It's very easy to create a 128 gig model with 8 gigs of RAM to make the advertised price seem way more affordable and then just incentivize upgrades. They just decided, no, the full foldable experience requires this amount of RAM and storage. That's the minimum amount that we're going to sell it. And they're doing that while still undercutting the Samsung. The model's open is $1699 versus Samsung's $1799, and that's for a phone that has 512 gigs of storage versus 256 and 16 gigs of RAM instead of 12. It's still very expensive, but at least you're getting the best of the best hardware for that price. These foldables right now, they are far too expensive for what they are. So even though I don't think we're quite there yet, at least this is putting some downwards pressure on that price. The actual software version here is Android 13 with OnePlus's Oxygen OS 13.2 on top of it. And it's got a nice level of customization. It's not the best I've ever seen, but definitely enough to make the phone yours. And it's just generally a well-animated, nicely tactile experience. Any kind of list or web page you click between, you don't just see it, you feel it. And you also can't not notice, putting aside the stability problems for a second, the core decisions being made for the day-to-day user experience, they are very focused around it just being intuitive. Like at the very start, I was struggling to reach the unlock button in the middle. Then I realized that these two buttons on either side, they move the user interface towards whichever hand is holding the phone. I felt like it was hard to press the power button and the volume buttons at the same time to take screenshots. But then realized that in quick swipe with 3 fingers, it does the same thing too. It does also do that whole thing where it remaps some apps when you're in the half-folded position. It's not as fleshed out as Samsung's Flex Nose, but to me, there's not really a huge use case either. The main thing this needs is polish. And the fact that OnePlus is now promising 4 full years of major Android updates is promising. It's likely that they'll iron out the bugginess, but we can't guarantee it. So at this point, overall, the OnePlus Open is doing pretty well. And we haven't even talked about this crown jewel, the cameras. The thing that OnePlus has really zeroed in on with the marketing here is that most foldable phones have compromised cameras. Basically, you have to fit those cameras into what's effectively half the depth of a normal flagship. And you know what? They're not wrong about that. And what they're also not wrong about is that this phone, in response to that, is basically as kitted out as it gets. This Open has a triple camera, Hasselblad branded setup consisting of a 48 megapixel main camera, 48 megapixel ultra-wide camera, and 64 megapixel 3x telephoto camera. And megapixels are one thing, but these are also all large sensor cameras, like each respectively probably the biggest you can find in a foldable. And the main camera they're using a pixel stacking technique that they're saying allows the phone to get in even more light than the numbers suggest. The pitch that OnePlus gave to me was basically that this is not just the best set of cameras on foldable, but that this is the best set of cameras on a smartphone. Now that's a pretty exciting prospect, and actually doubly exciting, because when you improve the cameras on a foldable, you're not just improving your rear photos, but your selfies too. Because on the front, you also have access to all 3 of these cameras in full quality. And in some ways, OnePlus has delivered. The ultra-wide camera, great. In fact, I take better ultra-wide shots on this than I do on my iPhone 15 Pro Max. The telephoto camera being a 64 megapixel camera means that while its optical zoom is only 3 times, you can actually go all the way to 6 times and still get a lossless 12 megapixel image. It still gives you that feeling of, oh, there's something really far away. Don't worry, my phone will be able to see it. Yeah, I was really excited without my edgy fingers. Now, they do advertise this as going up to 120x. Ultra-res zoom. But that means anything. At 120x, this is anything but ultra-res. And it's fine that it can't do this. No one's expecting it to. But can we please stop pretending like vast amounts of digital zoom is a selling point? The only potential exception to this is patterns. If you zoom in 120x to a pattern where the exact specifics of what you're shooting don't really matter, then the camera can do a really good job of almost drawing in the detail. That does not work for faces. I've taken some awesome selfies that just wouldn't have been possible using basically any other photo, just from the fact that this folds. And it's all bundled together with some fairly pleasant color signs, thanks to Hasselblad. The photos are a little darker brown or white, but generally what's good is that you're never getting faces that are like tomato red or trees so green they look radioactive. It's quite grounded in reality. It's really good at resisting being overexposed on the main camera, and it sounds good. This is one of the nicest shutter experiences that I've had in recent memory. But before I realize where I'm going with this, I don't think it lives up to its potential. And it's not the hardware. Hardware's great. It's just OnePlus's camera software not being as intelligent as some of the competition. You'll notice it with portrait mode. It's not the best at chopping people's hair, for example, and it's super sensitive to movement and easy to blur if you're not still. To be fair, with normal photos, you have an action mode, which is the exact opposite, and actually really hard to blur. But it's just a shame that you can't have it all. I shouldn't have to go into an action mode to take photos that I can trust are blur-free. And the ability to use AI to extract detail from your photos, which to me is one of the most important things, is not as good as the new iPhones by a long shot. And video too is on the weaker end. Kind of like Samsung and like Google, this phone is quite susceptible to grain in conditions that aren't really that dark. And you'll also notice, especially when recording on either of the front cameras, which are default for taking selfie video, they are quite easy to overexpose. The overall message here is that this is a good camera system. It's actually the best camera system on the foldable. It's just that OnePlus has definitely overshot with their claims, because what it definitely isn't is the best phone camera outright. The one unique thing that OnePlus has is X-Pan, which produces these super wide, very cinematic looking shots. It's a fun gimmick. It even comes with its own shooting user interface, which is meant to mimic the traditional Hasselblad experience. But really all this is doing is taking a wide shot and chopping off the top and the bottom. At that point, I'd rather just take a panorama and get better quality. There's not much to say about the displays, apart from the fact that they are the creme de la creme of foldables. It bothers me slightly that the black bezel on this side is not symmetrical with the other bezels, but apart from that, they've nailed the ratio of width to height. So this is a 20:9 aspect ratio display, which is the exact same as the company's normal flagships. Both screens are super bright and using LTPO 3.0 tech, which means they can dial their refresh rate all the way up to 120 Hz and then down to 10 Hz on the front screen and 1 Hz on the inside. They're extremely high resolution as well. The inside and outside screens have a pixel density of 431 and 426 pixels per inch, which, I mean, Samsung's inner screen is 373. So it's very high for a screen this big. The way they represent colors feels spot on to me. And not just at high brightness levels, which most screens are calibrated for, but even as you go dim, like watching YouTube videos at night, everything's preserved. And it also looks like OnePlus has paid some attention to longevity. There's a screen protector pre-fitted on both the inside and outside screens. The cover screen is a new type of more impact-resistant glass they're calling ceramic dart. I wonder where that name came from. But then also, OnePlus is saying that any wear and tear to the inner display protector within the warranty period, they'll do the repair for you, which I hope is them being generous and not them expecting there to be durable. But really, there is no way of knowing that until we give it 6 months. What I can say for sure right now, though, is that the battery took me off guard. The capacity is pretty unremarkable at 4,805 mAh, but OnePlus has really optimized here. Assuming you make some effort to make your battery last, you will have absolutely no problem getting to the second day. This thing does not go down easy, with actually really fast charging too. The included charger will have you at 100% in 40 minutes, but more importantly, 40% in about 10 minutes. The only caveat I would add to that is that, you know, we talk about this idea of running 4 intensive applications at the same time. Yeah, I mean, if you do that all day, that can get it, but it's good battery. Okay, last couple of things. There's a fingerprint scanner baked into the power button, and while it is able to work when moving things up and down, I've not found it that reliable. I've had quite a lot of times where I'm kind of doing this. Yeah. The phone has not a dual, but a triple speaker setup. There's one on the bottom and 2 at the top, which when I first heard about, I thought sounded like a transformative experience, but in reality, it's just good. It means you're quite likely at any given time to be covering one of them. But then again, on the other hand, even when you are covering one of them, you're still getting what feels like very full surround sound. It's the best set of speakers on a foldable. It's just not the best set of speakers on a phone. Like the Asus ROG phones are crazy. So overall, I can't help but like the OnePlus Open. It's not perfect. I wouldn't say this single-handedly fixes the problem, and it definitely loses a few points of stability right now. But the specs are world-class, the software is genuinely innovative, the cameras are up there, and it has the battery to back it all up. With the cherry on top being the fact that it's also more affordable than the market leader Samsung. Hand that to you. Okay, so I've talked about the Opera browser before, about how the way that it's animated and the way that it lets you organize is very appealing to me. But there's a new perk, and it comes into play when you're buying stuff. So I was shopping online for a gift last week, and it's already really helpful because you can group all of your, let's say, Amazon tabs into one tab island and all your eBay tabs into another and keep it really clean. But there's now another layer to it. I just recently bought the pay-per-view to watch the KSI versus Tommy Fury boxing match, and I realized Opera now has a baked-in reward scheme where they partner with a whole load of companies like eBay, AliExpress and Booking.com, literally hundreds of companies. And this new scheme allows you to click this badge that appears on your address bar to earn money through cashback while you spend online. So download the Opera browser from my link in the description. It's the best browser for people who want to keep trying new innovative features, and also people who really want to make the browser their own.
Let's take up down the blinds. Watch. Xinu jagħti kont tiegħek sabiħ. Mela. Let's move the puppy on the bed. Hello, you. Oh, sabiħ. Oh. Mm. Hello, big boy. Mm. Our little prince. You're so cute. Ooh. Having a baby is a wonderful experience. Oh. Stay here. Yeah, Chiro hati kon sabi hey. Raya, go into your bed. Here, Raya, here. Yeah, Chiro. Hey, sabi. Hey, Chiro. Hey, ah. Hey, sabi. Hey. Yeah, Shira. Yeah. Finish it before we leave. Eat it, Chiro. Not that one, the other one. Hey, Chiro. Hey. Hey, Sabi. Hey. 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 Eat. Eat, Sabi. Eat. Come. Go, Sabi. Go. Here. Go. Good boy, Shiro. All right, see you.